Hello and welcome to yet another edition of your weekly international current affairs program, Globe Watch from the Cameroon Radio Television, with me, Charles Ebony Ed, from the Hilton Hotel here in Yaoundé, Cameroon. 30 years ago, the United Nations Office for Project Services was created as an implementing partner of the entire United Nations ecosystem to ensure the implementation of projects in the world of humanitarian assistance and procurement. 30 years on, or if you like, 3 decades on, what can we say about the newest of the UN agencies operating across the continent? My guest today on Globe Watch is the Africa Regional Director of the said agency. Dalila Gonzalez, welcome to Globe Watch.
Thank you.
30 years ago, the United Nations Office for Project Service was established, and you are in Cameroon at a time when the organization is marking 3 decades of existence. What brings you here now?
So thank you so much, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here. It's a great pleasure to be in Cameroon. Actually, it's my first time in Cameroon, and I've been enjoying it really a lot. Cameroon is really a lovely country, and the main reason why I'm here to conduct and to have very high-level meetings. I was expecting, and I expect to meet with the Most Excellence, the President. We met already with the Chef of Cabinet of the Presidency. We met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, with the Minister of Health, and this morning I'm expecting to meet with the Prime Minister. So we are discussing multiple projects that we have, as well as the potential move of our sub-regional office from DRC to Cameroon. And of course, more important as well, and as important as these high-level meetings, is to meet with my team, that part of my team that has been here for the last 5 years.
Why will you move your regional office from the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, to Cameroon? And when would that happen?
Yeah, so that will happen in August this year, if all goes as planned, and it will, because part of the team is already here. And the main reason why we are moving the regional office from DRC to Cameroon is because of the stability that the country offers in terms of political stability, economic stability, in terms of security, and also in terms of the overall population. We feel really very welcomed in this country. I would like my team that covers Central Africa to be focused, on the countries that we need to serve, and this country offers all, offers the conditions, the stability, and as well as we feel welcomed in this Africa.
You said you have met a couple of government officials at the Ministry of External Relations, at the General Secretariat of the Presidency of the Republic. Of the conversations you have had, what have you actually been discussing with them in relation to what you have just mentioned?
I shared our plans. I felt that they were really very well received. I felt total support for us to proceed with this move. I felt that the UN and the United Nations is really recognizing this country, and we are part of the family. And also we discussed about the need of having the host country agreement to allow us to really to settle, to operate, on a more official way. So I feel like this is the right move, and I feel like we have the full support from the government.
In Cameroon, which of course is a byproduct of the United Nations trusteeship, which started in 1946, ending with the independence of the country plus 60 years ago, there are about 20 UN agencies operating in Cameroon, and one of them is, of course, the United Nations Office for Project Services, which you are the Africa Regional Director. 5 years ago, you came here operating. What have you done so far?
Okay, So let me first provide a bit of background on how we operate, and then we go to what we have done so far in Cameroon. So at Unops we recognize that our value lies in supporting the country ambitions with practical and concrete solutions. We are an implementing partner that completely focused 100% in delivering projects in the most fragile and remote locations. So we are just where we are needed. And our objective is to turn the country priorities into real projects and real impact through procurement, project management, and infrastructure. So in Cameroon we have, and actually I have here some notes. We have until now implemented 14 projects and with 13 different partners, and we have 3 projects that I have here to emphasize that I believe that we should really share them. One is a project with Koika that we have, in which we financed by Koika that we have built.
Korean International Development Agency.
Exactly, that we have built 98 water point connections and 66 systems to storage the water, and we have benefited 8,000 people. So this is one of the ones that I would like to emphasize. Another one is a project financed by the World Bank that we have implemented it with, in partnership with the Minister of Mines, in which we have built and equipped administrative buildings. And the third one that I would like to emphasize is a project financed by the Islamic Development Bank, in which we have procured $10 million of equipment in partnership with the Minister of Health, equipment to support the country during the COVID phase. So this is like the 3 projects that really I'm emphasizing, but until now we have already implemented 14. 5
years on, how do you assess your presence in Cameroon?
It has been a positive. I believe that we have made a positive impact. We have never invested as much as we could in Cameroon in terms of partnerships, in terms of really understanding what are the needs of the country. And this move, it will also allow to move resources from DRC to Cameroon in order to reinforce the team in the country and in order to build.
Currently do you have in the country?
Currently we have 8 people in country, 50% of them from Cameroon, 50% internationals. In 3-4 months we are expecting to move from 8 to 30 people, and if all goes well, next year we will be in a completely different situation.
Cameroon is just one of the many countries you cover in Africa. Globally, what is your regional outlook? What do you actually do in other countries like Nigeria, the DRC, where the regional office is found for the moment, or Kenya, where possibly you are based, one of the 4 regional global offices of the United Nations globally?
So the way that we are organized is that we divide Africa in 5 sub-regions. So we have this sub-region is part of the Central Africa that covers all countries that are in Central. Countries like Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, Tunisia, Mozambique, etc. So we have divided Africa, and this is the way that we operate. And then we have hubs that sit in one country. For example, our hub now here is going to sit in Cameroon. And from that country, we cover the countries that we consider priority countries for us, the ones that need us, the ones that we serve. By having this model, we are now currently implementing services and serving 40 countries, and we have more than 250 projects ongoing in terms of implementation, with 1,000 delivering with more than 1,000 people, and of course for us gender parity, diversification, and etc. is really very, very important.
You said that you are always in areas where you are most needed in order to fill the gap, the most vulnerable of communities. Of the 40 countries you are operating on, probably there are some which are more risky that need more of your assistance. Which are they, and what kind of services are you rendering to them? Possibly the most striking ones like the
yeah,
DRC, Sudan.
Yeah, for us, 70% of what we do is coming from countries where the risk level is really
very
high, exactly, and where there is like very high conditions in terms of fragility, etc. So, if I think about these countries, of course, we have Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, Mozambique, Mali, the whole Sahel, and yeah.
So in West Africa, for example, where you have a zone called the Sahel, because of terrorism, insecurity, do you network with other UN agencies or private partners to render services to people like the provision of potable water, hygiene and sanitation to the most vulnerable northern parts of Nigeria, what the rest?
Whatever we do always as a part of the UN family, because we all have different mandates, and we will try now. We complement each other. So you are part of the UN family, and whatever we do as a family. Even yesterday or 2 days ago, I was part of the UN country team. We had a meeting and we strategized what can we do here together to serve the country the better. And then we came up with like ideas on renewable energy, remote rural locations, infrastructure, digitalization, and digitalization. So whatever we do together, we think together, we brainstorm together, but also we need to take into consideration for Unops, for us, we are not a programmatic agenda. So we don't come up with a solution. We understand the country priorities, and we turn these priorities into results. So we really partner with the government, and we deliver through the government as per the country priorities.
What are the most 3 key priorities that you see in Africa today that the United Nations Office for Project Services must intervene?
For me, clearly on energy. 700 million people don't have access to energy in Africa as of today.
Roughly 600 million of the nearly 1.5 million. So
exactly.
On energy, you are networking with the African Development Bank for Mission 300 million?
Exactly, of course. For me, it's on energy, it is on climate, and it is on health.
Now let's talk your mandate globally. 30 years ago, like I indicated at the beginning, you were established by the United Nations to work. What actually makes you different from the other roughly 20 or 25 UN agencies and sister institutions which exist?
That's a very good question. We don't receive core funds. So this means that we are a project-based UN agency. So we are just on the locations where we have projects. Because we are more or less like as the private sector, but not driven by profit. As we don't have core funds, we have teams whenever we are needed. As soon as the project ends, we need to find additional projects to continue. And I think that this has brought us, this sense of agility, this sense of it's never enough. We need to sign more, we need to commit more with the governments, we need to serve more, to keep our teams and to continue. This is really completely different. And then we are not programmatic as well, so we don't come up with solutions. We come up with as an implementing partner to help governments to achieve SDGs. We understand national priorities, and we partner with governments to speed up implementation. So we don't come up with solutions. We respect the national priorities, and together we turn these national priorities into results.
In my understanding, you are the implementing body for humanitarian work and projects within the UN system. How do you go about that, which is quite different from the United Nations Development Program, which is different from UNESCO, which is different from ECOSOC and others?
Again,
how do you distinctly do that?
I think that there is space for all of us, and again, we partner with governments, we understand the needs, and our mission is really to turn national priorities into real results towards and to help governments to achieve SDGs. That's it.
You said about projects, and one of the key issues around the world to ensure the realization of the sustainable development goals is that projects must be executed, their timelines must be respected. How far do you go in that domain?
That is part of our mandate. Okay. So what we do, we understand how projects have been implemented, because most of the projects are really led by government, and what we offer to the government is like the government to transfer the risk to us. This means that we help governments to accelerate the implementation of the projects. And this can be done on completely different ways. Sometimes projects get stuck or are not progressing as fast as needed because there is no resources at the PIU levels, and we can provide these resources. Other times there are issues in terms of procurement. I'm not talking about this country, but these overall challenges in Africa.
Absolutely.
For example, projects that are not progressing because the project team hasn't managed to purchase, imagine, cars to go and to visit the places, or laptops for the team, single SIMs, or sometimes it's a question of technical expertise. So we understand what the problem is, and then we partner with the government to help the government to accelerate the implementation of the projects. 50% of what we do in Africa as of today is supporting governments to accelerate the implementation of the project.
I hope I quote him correctly. The current President of the United Nations General Assembly, Philemon Yang, is quoted to have said that about $192 billion dollars are needed yearly between now to ensure the realization of the sustainable development goals in Africa. Globally, how does your report card look like?
So just last year we implemented $3 billion of projects across Unops overall. Over the last 5 years we implemented like almost $12 billion of projects. And the impact of these projects is translated and is available in our Unops website, in which we can see, in each country what is the impact that we have made and how many people have been impacted, and in terms of the SDGs overall.
In doing your work as Unops for the past 30 years, what have you seen as some of the challenges for implementation?
There are multiple challenges in terms of implementation. There are challenges in terms of the context, the areas that we operate, security challenges. Sometimes there are challenges in terms of teams, a bit of need of capacity building, ensuring alignment. Also sometimes there are challenges in terms of a bit of reluctancy of accepting that we can add value, or accepting at a very early stage that if we partner, the power of the partnership, if we move together since the very beginning, we will ensure that we'll have a different result on a more speedy way. And there are sometimes also bureaucratic challenges, because of this, it takes time. These are processes. We need to sign contracts. We need to understand what is the role of each one. So there are multiple challenges that really delay implementation, but what we come with is a lot of agility.
What are your global priorities today? In which areas do you focus?
We focus on energy, climate, and health.
Why? Why health and climate?
One, health.
Why these three areas?
So in terms of health, because only 25% of the population in Africa have access to health centers, and although, and Africa contributes to 50% of the global deaths, so we cannot just continue like this. And in terms of climate, because 9 out of the 11 countries that are the most impacted by climate change, they are in Africa. Also, although Africa does not contribute to the climate change, but 9 out of the 11 countries the most impacted by climate change are in Africa.
Your current strategic plan, in the moment the interview will be coming to an end, what does it provide in terms of perspective? by 2030, for example, just 5 years from now or 4.
Actually, we have just started discussing, and we have just the first draft our new business plan for the next 5 years. It will be presented to the executive board in 1 month. We will continue serving the countries, keeping in mind that we are here to serve and we are here to help countries and people to achieve better lives and sustainable development goals. We are now focusing on different areas of expertise. For us in Africa, we'll continue to focus on energy, health and climate change. But for Unops overall, there are other areas that we are covering because we are present in all continents. So therefore, needs are different, and we need to respect the needs of and the context of each country. But for us in Africa, it's really not going to change a lot. It's the continuity of what we have been doing the last 4 years. We have been successful. What really now we are more focused on, or how we can accelerate even more delivery in order to achieve the SDGs.
In your current position as the Africa Regional Director of Unops, which you assumed last year, coming in with years of experience in other fields, how much of a added value to the organization was your years coming in from other parts?
I think that I bring different perspectives, as you said, because I came from with a different background, different experiences, and I worked in Africa for 20 years, and I worked in the private sector. So I come with completely different perspectives, and I think that is all good. All ideas are important, and this is how we grow as a team. The power of diversity is really important, because I think that I come with the perspective, I come with a lot of agility, we need to think out of the box. I don't accept no as an answer, I really focus on our mission, and I focused 100% on impact. And listen, I think that I've been with Unops for 4 years, and during the last 4 years we doubled the amount of impact that we have made in the continent. So coming with different perspectives is really important to allow teams, to move faster, to move better, and and to be even more impactful, in my opinion.
Finally, as part of the United Nations family, when you look at the world in which we live today, what do you think is the most frightful issue, and how should it be solved?
In terms of United Nations or in terms of the world?
Choose whatsoever you want to choose.
Listen, we live in a phase that I believe, since I was born, I've never remembered this kind of phase. There are multiple conflicts, there is a lot of instability, and instead of going and moving towards the SDGs, there are countries that are really going back because they have been severely impacted by the wars, by COVID, by the current geopolitical situation, and etc. For us, United Nations, I believe this is an opportunity for restructuring and to emerge from this current situation, stronger and better. And I look at it with a lot of optimism because, as a result of a crisis, we have two options usually.
Your logo says to build a future.
Exactly. So I truly believe that we will emerge from this crisis as United Nations stronger and better, and we will allow countries.
Did the Summit of the Future fit squarely with your mandate? The
Yes.
Summit of the Future, which was held last year.
Yeah.
And with that, we conclude the interview. The Africa Regional Director
Thank
of the
you.
United Nations Office for Project Services. Thank you very much indeed for being guest
Thank
on
you.
Globe Watch, Dalila Gonzalez.
Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.